We are live with Facebook, live with YouTube. Guys, you are watching the behind the scenes. Sorry about a little delay this morning. Somebody forgot to press the go live button. So we had several minutes of great conversation. Um, you guys just missed it. Sorry, you should have been here. Um, so we've got Shawn Bevins in the house. Shawn, you guys have seen on the show a couple of times. This episode is entitled Shawn Bevins III. Uh, it's like the guy you can't get him out of barbecue. Um, so we had him. We were first introduced with his grill companies, and we've made a pivot. So, guys, can you hear me, Shawn?
I sure can, yeah.
All right. So we're gonna hit the intro and get right back into it. What's up, guys? Wes, the People's Pitmaster, back again for another episode of the Smoke Ring Syndicate. It's my weekly barbecue podcast that drops every Wednesday at 5:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This week, we're headed north to talk to the guy that puts Q in Quebec, Shawn Bevins, the guy that doesn't quit barbecue. Shawn, are you there?
I am. Thanks for having me, Wes. Appreciate it.
Welcome
Always good
back.
talk.
Welcome back. I feel like we're old friends at this point. We've done this a number of times. And I think I said last time we had to do this, we had to do this in person next time. But man, I had to get on here and chat with you. So you guys, my followers and friends and followers, you guys were introduced to Shawn via Hellraiser, and then we made the pivot to Legion Grill, and now we're catering.
Yeah, I'm starting a catering business.
Okay.
So maybe to give some of your listeners a little bit more of an in-depth background. So for those who know it, I was the guy behind. I was the president, and I started Hammer Forge, a company that built grills and barbecues, and one of the unit that kind of was the unit that kind of allowed us to become kind of known across the world was the Beast. Um,
Yeah.
so I'll just run down through that a little bit. So yeah, Hammer Forge sold my shares. Partnership didn't work out. I was with my brother-in-law, family thing. And so I sold my shares in Hammer Forge, started Hellraiser. Hellraiser took off like a rocket. Incredible growth. I think we did 0 to almost 3 million in sales in the first 9 months of operation. It was incredible. Um, just really rapid growth. I had a large distributor over in the U.S. go bankrupt on me for I don't know $300,000. Had another distributor out west in Western Canada go bankrupt on me. So just some really really bad luck. We had just signed True Value down in the States, and we were
Hmm.
super excited about it. We had delivered a big order, and yeah, man, I just ran out of cash, waiting for True Value to pay, and on the terms, we've got to give them payment terms, and so we were waiting for payment. But I just because of those bankruptcies, they were just one after another, and it just killed us,
Yeah.
just killed us.
Yeah.
And so moved on to Legion, had a really good idea for a product, developed the product, and just pretty quickly realized that we didn't share the same. My partners and I did not share the same values,
Yeah.
and so yeah, I just decided to move on. So now I'm
Okay.
looking at. I mean, I've been doing courses. It's kind of I give barbecue courses, at my home, and
Hmm.
so that's kind of a thing that I've really enjoyed. It's it really gives you the chance to kind of be really close to the people that have either followed you over the years or own one of your products, or it's just a
Yeah.
way to keep that proximity and kind of you know uh, carry on the barbecue tradition of bringing people together and enjoying ourselves. So yesterday I gave a course, but yeah, I'm going to get into the catering business. I don't something's wrong, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I can't explain it.
Yeah.
I don't defy at this point. I guess it would defy logic. Um,
Yeah. Well, I'm borderline there with you too. Have you considered a career in working as a banker or something with a suit?
um, yeah, I think I think there's probably people listening to this right now that can probably identify with what I'm going to say. Um, I've got this I've got this intrinsic I guess thing that wants to bring people together. I
Yeah.
I don't know if that's from, you know, a dysfunctional family or a bad childhood, or I don't know where that comes from. Um,
Yeah.
a lot of people, a lot of people in the barbecue industry have that. You know,
Yeah.
really nothing brings people together like barbecue, and
Yeah.
so I have this, you know, this thing that it's more powerful than I am. I can't shut it off. And you know,
Yeah.
anybody that's, you know, started a manufacturing company knows that um, manufacturing, you know, when you're competing against, you know, the Asians and India and, you know, these places where people are, you know, companies are building products, you know, for a fraction of the cost that we can do it in America or in Canada. It's tough, man. You really have to have something special. And Razor Yama unit, we sold 5,000 units in the first 2 years. Um,
Yeah.
so, you know, I've been very fortunate. I've had a lot of bad luck too, things that were beyond my control. You know, who would have known that two guys, you know, for almost, you know, $500,000 would go bankrupt on me? Like, you just, it's unheard of, right?
Yeah.
All the due
Yeah.
diligence was done, but just bad luck, man. Just a bad luck. And so, yeah, I like bringing people together, whether it's over my food or over my products.
Yeah.
And it's something that I just can't. I guess it's part of me, right? I can't just shut that off. I guess it's who I am as a person. And
Yeah.
you
Well,
know, you're
it's
not in this barbecue game for people that are out there, you know, um, unless you invent some, you know, widget that you can get produced in Asia for 10 cents and you can sell it for $100. I don't know a lot of people that are making a lot of money in barbecue. You don't do it because you're, you know, you're making millions, right? Um,
yeah. Oh yeah.
you're doing it because you love what you do. You do it because you love people. You do it because you love food, and you do it, I guess, because you want to bring people together.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, and community, like barbecue is community. Like you go to these events and Friday night, Saturday night, and everybody's breaking bread together, and the common element is the food. In particular, with us, barbecue, and that's what brought you and I together. You know, built a friendship, be it long distance. You being up north and me being down in Atlanta. But we bond over barbecue, and we will have to eventually bond over some real food. Um,
We
and
will.
I was watching some of the clips that you had shared about the class you held yesterday. Um, so you do the classes, you do those regular, you
Well,
do those pretty
I'm,
regular.
you know, again, there's things that I guess that I do or that are about me that I don't really understand where it comes from. I'm somebody, I mean, anybody that owns one of our units, you know, whether it's, you know, Hellraiser or Hammer Forge, you know, I've always been a type of person that wants to give a lot of value for money.
Hmm.
You know, I come from a relatively poor background, and so, you know, my dad always used to say, you know, I'm too poor to buy cheap. So I always, in any product that we did, I always wanted to give the person uh, real value, perceived value when you look at the product, but also true value, real value, and sense of the quality of the product. So
Yeah.
our courses are extensive. Um, so I mean, I can run through it real quick. Yesterday we started at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Hmm.
Um, I'm really passionate about Latin cuisine. And
Hmm.
so I'm pretty good at, I guess I'm not bad at making tacos. So I wanted to give a barbecue course on tacos and you know, something like real tacos, not, you know, store bought or stuff that you get from Taco Bell.
Yeah, not
Um,
not Taco Bell, huh?
yeah. So, you know, we did yesterday for lunch we did al pastor, and then we did a pork al pastor, and then for dinner we did beef burrito, and it was amazing. You know, the students are great. I do my courses a little bit different. I've never really been a fan of, you know, the talking head up in front of the class and nobody really involved. They're just all sitting there taking notes, watching some guy kind of give a
Hmm.
show. Um,
Yeah.
my courses are very intimate. I conduct them here in my home in my own backyard. I've got a pretty neat setup out and back. So, you know, all those smokers are out there. And so we go outside and we're inside. I go through some theoretical stuff. about the history of barbecue and things like that. And then it's basically the students. Everybody's cooking, cutting vegetables outside and tending to the smokers, running the fires. We get a campfire going at the same time. Um, I want to give people not only a course with knowledge, because that's one thing, but I
Yeah.
think people want, I'm very fortunate because I've been able to do that. Through our products, any of the products that we've designed, you'll notice that there's always elements to the product that always provide a kind of an elevated experience, cooking experience, outdoor cooking experience. And I try to do that even with the courses. So when you come to one of our courses, it's not only you're leaving with some pretty valuable knowledge and some eating some great food, but you're leaving with an outdoor cooking experience. Like I said, we got a campfire going. After we get past lunchtime, generally people start cracking open beers. They're talking, they're drinking, they're
Hmm.
socializing. We're talking about barbecue, the smoke, the campfire. The smokers are going. So it really is a great. I really want to expose people to that, what real barbecue is in the sense of that kind of bringing together of people, right? It's not just
Yeah.
dad's out in the backyard over his propane grill and he's cooking burgers. Burgers are done. He brings them in the house, and then everybody kind of gathers to eat. This is it's what I would consider to be true barbecue, where it's a community effort to produce a meal.
Yeah. Well, hosting a barbecue versus grilling. Like if somebody says, "Hey, I'm having a barbecue," and I show up and they're cooking hot dogs and hamburgers. No, you're hosting a grill session.
Yeah,
You're not barbecuing.
that's right.
So
Yeah,
I can get that.
and I'm again I'm Canadian. I mean I had dual citizenship. I'm originally from down in the Detroit area, so I was very fortunate growing up that during the '60s, '50s, '40s, when the automobile industry was booming in Detroit, we had a huge migration from the southern United States that came up into Detroit, and with them they brought all of their southern barbecue techniques and styles. And Detroit was kind of the epicenter of all different people from the South, from all different states, migrating to Detroit because there were high paying jobs in the automobile industry. And
Yeah, the
so
steel.
they brought with them styles of barbecue from all over the United States. It's kind of a really kind of a unique place. And Detroit, they don't say we say Kansas City barbecue. We say, but we don't say Detroit style barbecue because it's kind of a melting pot of all these
Yeah,
different styles from all across the southern United States. So I was very fortunate. And that's how barbecue was done when I was a kid. We'd go to Belle Isle and people would be set up with their smokers out there on Belle Isle, and these just huge, massive parties, a community, people bringing in meat. And so, I mean, that's where I learned, that's where I caught the bug. And yeah, I've just kind of tried to replicate that up here in the north.
yeah, yeah. I said I've got a Facebook user that says Sean is the king of immersive barbecue experience.
Yeah,
Um,
I appreciate that. I don't know if I'm the king, but I do my best.
hey, uh, it, to become a king, you got to keep doing it, and man, you can't keep a good man down, and it's fascinating for me to watch, and it almost on a personal note, it's almost like because I catered, barbecue, and then I switched over and worked into I'm in the car business. Coincidentally, with you, had a Detroit background with the car industry, but I sell them. I'm a finance manager at a store, and I started selling cars back when COVID started, and I was like, well, I'll sell cars for a month or so until the whole COVID thing dies down a little bit, and got in there, and I was like it's kind of nice being able just to go somewhere instead of having to, create the entire experience for yourself. You got people that are coming in the door automatically because they're paying for the advertising. So I don't have to do my own advertising. Um, so in a way, I'm like, man, I probably should have given my catering a little bit more try, I guess you could say. So in the respect of watching you go through doing what you're doing with barbecue, and then you know what, pivot, keep going, and keeping it barbecue. Like I went from I worked in the ambulance industry, and went to catering because that's what I love to do. And then I went to the car business, which, I mean, I drive a car, but I'm not, I'm not a gearhead by any stretch. So just watching you and watching your story, it's inspirational, man. I consider, uh, I consider going back into the catering, on a pretty regular basis, and that kind of all started because I've watched you, die and be reborn, so to speak.
Yeah, well,
And
and in July this year, literally, like you probably aware, I had a heart attack in July,
Mhm.
and I gotta say, it changed me as a person.
Yeah,
I'm no longer the same man I was, and the change was radical. It literally happened and overnight. I on the 22nd of July, I would never have expected that the day after I was going to be near death.
yeah.
And um, yeah, I certainly appreciate the kind words, Wes. I don't know, man. It's I guess in some sense of it, it kind of defies logic, right?
Hmm.
People might say I just stupid, just get the message and just give up. But I've always considered that um, you know that the respect, I guess, that you're going to gain in your life,
Hmm.
the things that you'll accomplish, those things I think that you don't really have control of what other people think or say or do.
Hmm.
You have no real control if they respect you or if they like you or if they enjoy what you do. Or I
Yeah.
mean, they tell us, but deep down we don't really know. But I think that if you do the best to be perseverant, to do whatever you do with passion and love,
Hmm.
um, and to be persistent and just to not give up. People, by consequence, I guess it's by the respect and the love and that's just a byproduct of trying to be the best person you can be. And when you're involved in people's lives or in their pocketbook, or you're selling them something, or you're exchanging a service for money, in the way that you
Yeah.
deal with other people, if you try to do that with integrity, with loyalty, with respect, the respect and love will come as a consequence of, as a byproduct of trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
um I can't give up, man. I don't know what it is. I just and honestly, Wes, I have two young men. I have two young, well, they're my boys, my sons, but they're men now. And I don't know, I don't know, because my parents were so screwed up. I don't know that I would be given the right message to my children if I just gave up.
Hmm.
Um, I like most parents, I want my kids to, be resilient. I want them to be good human beings, generous, respectful, loving, caring, think about other people, can be considerate, share, um, and perseverance, man, because life is tough. It's hard, man.
Yeah.
It's hard for people. And right now, the middle class in America, the middle class in Canada, the middle class across this continent, we're hurting. They're Middle class is hurting, man. They're hurting everywhere. Um,
Yeah.
it's tough. Things are tough out there right now, and I think at the end of the day, you've got two choices. You either curl up in a ball and die, or you say, "Screw this, man," and I'm gonna just carry on. And
Yeah.
I've just got to carry on. I mean,
Yeah. Keep it on.
that's it. And you got to. I think as I was lying there dying in the back, because I almost died, right? And I'm lying there on my back in that ambulance, and I'm literally dying. I'm thinking to myself, what have you done? You know, um,
Yeah.
and I think that I I, I want to bring joy to people either through my
Hmm.
cooking or through the products that I build. I think
Yeah.
that's you know, and I guess it's like everything. I got when I started out in the barbecue business, I had a huge ego. I was cocky. I was look at my unit, and it was all about image. And I mean, I built
Yeah.
I was very fortunate. I had some great people around me. We built a great product. We got, recognition for that. But over time, um, being a manufacturer and doing that, I took a lot of lumps. And,
Yeah.
life has its way of keeping people humble.
Yes. It's a humbling, it's a humbleizing, it's a
Yeah.
humbleizing thing, life.
Yeah.
Um,
And if you don't
so
understand it, if you don't understand it, life's going to make sure you do, because you're going to walk away with one hell of a lump on your head.
yeah, well, it's just going to beat it into you. Um,
Yeah.
so I've got a question about the taco class that you hosted yesterday. Um, and it kind of speaks to the community that you have, that you seem to build around what it is that you do, because barbecue's community. Um, how many people were in the class yesterday? First.
I think we were, with everybody that was at the house, I think we were probably about 20 people.
Okay.
I'm pretty much at 17, 18 people at my house, like in my kitchen, trying to make sure to convey, correctly, and be able to spend time with each individual person and have everybody kind of dirty their hands. That's kind of my limit for the space that I have here. I couldn't really go more than that, because I think we'd lose value. I mean, the
Yeah.
students would lose the people that are coming to these would be losing. I wouldn't be able to offer them the same quality, I think, of
Yeah.
course, if we started adding in more people. I'd need a bigger venue. I need a bigger place.
Yeah. Yeah. So out of the 18 20 people, how many do you think know Shawn Bevins from Hammer Forge?
I was actually surprised yesterday. I had in the course, I think we had probably, I want to say, maybe close to half that all owned a Hammer Forge product, that all owned a Hellraiser product. They've been following me for 10 years.
Hmm.
Um, so there's, I guess the people that bought in with us early with Hammer Forge, um, we touched something there. We made a connection with those people through the product.
Yep.
We made a connection
Yep.
with those people through the brand, and that loyalty that it just kind of carried over into Hellraiser. So I'm
Yeah.
very fortunate. Anybody that's ever been really exposed, and I say this with all humility, but anybody that's ever really been exposed to, I guess and I really don't have any merit in that. I just do what I do, and people seem to gravitate towards it. And I've been very fortunate. It's built a real loyal following, and so anybody that's been exposed either through our products or through the courses that we do, there's I'm a genuine person. I'm
Hmm.
like an open book. I got nothing to hide. You want to know something, I'll tell you. I just I'm not a gated person. I don't hold back. Um, I'm just who I am. I guess I'm a real person, and we build real products, and there's something there that people identify with.
Yeah. Well, and it speaks the the type of community that you're building with, with each thing that you do. Um, it used to be back, when we were kids, your parents went to work, they went to work for this particular company, and they worked for that company for 48 years or 42 years, whatever it was, and they retired from that company. Nowadays, people job hop, every couple of years, and it's really brought that to light with me with the car business, because folks in the car business, they're a year in and they're gone if they last that long.
Yeah.
Um, so the bouncing around here and there. So your your job history is, granted, it's all in barbecue, but it is, Hammer Forge. Then it went to Hellraiser. Then it went to Legion, and now it's the catering. So I don't necessarily see or find fault in you're on a different barbecue trip, on a different barbecue stage at this point. Like I don't see it as a, he's gone and he's doing something different now. Like, people change jobs all the time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, My background is, being from the Windsor, Detroit area. My background, I was a tool and die maker. That's how I started.
Hmm.
I went to college, did a degree in industrial tooling. Um, I'm a steel guy. I sheet metal and stamping and bending metal and welding and production and
Hmm.
lean and just in time and all that kind of automation and all that kind of stuff. That's my thing. That's my profession.
Yeah.
I've been in steel for since I was 19 years old. I don't really know anything else.
Hmm.
Barbecue, and I've got a couple different passions. Barbecue is probably the one that takes the most, that occupies the most space in my life.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I mean, I think there's some coherence to it. I mean, there's going to be haters that are going to be like, oh well, and they don't know the true story of what's happened, and
Yeah.
I think that, and I can assume part of the responsibility. I think that I made some pretty bad choices in partners.
Hmm.
Well, that, and bad choices for me because of the consequence of it all. But I what can I say? It's up here right now. We're seeing some giant players. Going bankrupt.
Yeah.
Danson's was sold. Louisiana Grill Pit Boss, that the Danson family had to sell. There's the barbecue industry right now is hurting, um,
Yeah.
in terms of manufacturing. It's a hurting industry, um, and yeah, I think that anybody that works in the barbecue industry, that's inside this industry, certainly the retail end of it, or the product development, or the product end of it, understand that it is a bloodbath out there right now.
Yeah. Well, and then you've also got to look at it from like your partners, like what did they do in their lives before they went into barbecue? They went into barbecue with you for a little while, and then they went right back to doing something completely different. And whereas you've kept it Q, you kept it barbecue.
Yeah.
Um, so so the classes, how often are you doing the classes, and do you think with not having the uh, you know go into town for the barbecue, for building a barbecue grill, do you think those classes will increase or?
Well, I think that I'm very fortunate. First, the classes, they sell out pretty quick. Um,
Hmm.
and yesterday, talking to guys, they're like, guys are it's amazing, right? Like I say, I'm really fortunate. It's kind of there's the barbecue crowd industry, and then there's like the guys that are the customers or the people that support what I do, and it's a
Hmm.
different animal. We're in my
Yeah.
kitchen last night, and there's like, they're telling me, you got to do you got to do a run of knives. We want knives. We want this. We want that. You can't stop. You got to keep, building stuff. You got to, and they're like, we're going to crowd fund. We want to give you some money. Guys are like, I'll give you this much more right now if you can commit to building me another knife. Like,
Yeah.
um, the love and support is just incredible. I mean, and that really speaks miles to, you know, um, I guess the quality of products that we build,
Hmm.
because we really do always try to provide value for money. But
Yeah.
I think that there's something special there. There's something that's not just the product. Um,
Well, it's the community. It's the community that you built, and that's what I was kind of getting to before when I asked how many people of those 20 people were your first barbecue grill company, and here we are 10 years later, like they still know who you are. They're
yeah,
still following you
yeah,
around.
oh yeah, yeah,
Um, you you may have you may wear a cape from time to time, but the it's Bevin's barbecue. That's what the core is. That's created the community between all these people. Not to give you a big head, I don't want you to be able to not get out of your room there, but the community that you're creating it's a niche, and it's they say the riches are in the niches. It's the small thing that you can hone in on that brought all those people together, and you're the one that's created that, whether it be called a Hammer Forge or whether it be called a Legion, or if as we go into the Hellraiser catering is going to be the Hellraiser catering that's going to create raving fans because you do things the way you do, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've always tried to, um, forever. I've always tried to bring value and do things right and just, treat people with respect. I don't, I try to remain humble through everything that I do. And yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, like I said, I went through a, I come from, my childhood was not easy.
Hmm.
Like a lot of families out there, my parents were alcoholics and drug addicts, and there was physical abuse and violence. I didn't get a lot of food when I was a kid. That contributed to my phobia of always, being afraid to run out of food and make sure everybody's fed. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's I don't know. I just growing up, Detroit, Windsor, the streets are not easy. Um,
Hmm.
it was rough, and I think that the only way that I probably figured out how I could survive all of that kind of early stuff was, you know, the core. Just be respectful, be honest and
Yeah.
truthful, treat people how you want to be treated,
Yeah.
and when people give you their money, you provide them with value. And
Yeah.
I mean, those core principles, I mean, they are stronger than me. They're inside me. It's just how I am. And
Yeah.
people,
That's
I think,
just,
can cut through the bullshit pretty quick. Um,
yeah.
we see a lot of people out there doing videos and stuff like that, or YouTube channels, and there's a lot of content out there. People are overwhelmed with content today, and
Hmm.
you can pick up pretty quick. If you watch some of these videos, some of these guys doing what they're doing, you can pick up pretty quick who's full of shit and who's not. People are smart, they're educated,
Yeah.
and they pick up on stuff pretty quick.
Yeah.
So to be able to be, I guess, to have longevity, like going on 10 years now, um, if you're not true, man, and you're not the real deal, and you're trying to bullshit people or pulling over on people, you're not going to last in this business. Like you just will
Yeah.
not.
Well, I mean, and it speaks to like your character when you've made a transition. Like when I first saw your first switch, because I didn't see Hammerforge. I saw the tail end of Hammerforge, um, but then I saw the switch from Hellraiser to Legion, and I was like, it's gonna be really interesting to watch and see how this unfolds. It's kind of like a barbecue soap opera, if you will.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, yeah,
and
I guess.
I was like, it's gonna be really interesting to see. I talked to this guy. I didn't even, we weren't even doing video with the podcast the first time I spoke to you. And I was like, I've talked to this guy over the phone or over the, whatever it is that the internet there. And I've never really known Shawn. So it'll be very interesting to watch how he deals with adversity. And that was my biggest reason to go, you know what, man, can I bend your ear for one more hour? Just because you're going through a little bit of adversity, and have you responded? Let me host a bunch of people at the house
Yeah.
and cater some barbecue.
Yeah, I
So
just
with
I was very fortunate. I worked for a while in the defense contracting industry, and I met a fella. He was a Navy SEAL actually, and him and I really connected with each other.
Mhm,
And he had, did his time in the service down in the United States. Obviously, Navy SEAL, did all kinds of stuff overseas. Started a an armory business where he would build rifles for people, and him and
mhm,
I really connected, and I learned a lot from him, and just about life in general, facing adversity. Just a really good man, genuinely good human being. And people sometimes they misconstrue Navy SEALs with these hardcore, these brutes that are they're just killers, right? And that
yeah,
is definitely not the case. Most of the Navy SEALs that I've met, but him in particular, he was just a great, genuine, generous, giving, caring human being that wanted to fight back against the evil in the world. And
yeah,
he was a it's, I don't know if it's what you see in the movies, but um, And he told me one time, you know, because I had asked him, you know, how you know, him and he opened up a lot to me about our lives, about our childhoods, and we shared a lot of things in common. So we
Yeah.
really made kind of a deep connection. And you know, we were talking about just life in general, and he was talking about his service overseas, and he said to me, you know, fighting solves everything. And and and
Yep.
and at first, you know, when you say that, you say fighting solves everything, and it's like you can just it invokes an image in your mind of, you know, a hail of bullets and bombs and grenades, and but that's not what it is. It's you got to kind of go dig a little bit deeper beyond that, and you
Yeah.
realize that, man, if you don't persist in life, if you don't fight back against the forces that you do not control, because
Yeah.
if my heart attack did teach me one thing, it's that our egos think whatever we think we're in control of our lives.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, after living it, you may think you're the captain of your ship, but I can tell you for a matter of fact that you are definitely not. We are not running this show. You know, and whether you believe in God or Jesus or, you know, whatever higher power or whatever religion you believe in, or if you're just, you know, somebody that's spiritual,
Hmm.
there is something bigger than us, bigger than ourselves, that is running the show for us, our destinies. And yeah, he connected with me, and that fighting solves everything, man. He was absolutely right. And the deepest, darkest, most desperate moments, whether they're a physical, you know, physical pain, physical suffering, sickness, disease, overcoming challenges in your career, your job, with your family members, just, you know, alcohol, drugs, I don't know, whatever that challenge may be. You know, if you fight back, you remain committed to it, you're going to make it
Yeah.
through. You're going to survive.
Yeah.
You're going to come out the other end of it, and you know, you're going to come out wiser, humbler. You know, you're going to come out stronger. You're going to come out a better human being. You know, these challenges that we face in our lives. You know, I think they're put in our way as an apprenticeship. You know,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
I was, you know, just very fortunate to have, you know, I've had some really great people, and man, the like, you know, somebody come up to me yesterday after the course and they give me a $50 tip, and I'm like, I can't take that. You know, it's 50
Yeah.
bucks. I can't take a $50 tip. And he's like,
Yeah.
I want you to get something for Christmas for, you know, that's my Christmas present to your family.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, it's I don't know, man. It's life is a mysterious thing, and I mean, I don't know. You know, it's going to be catering. I'm going to try. You know, people might think
Yeah.
I'm crazy, but you know, who knows where it's going to end up? I don't know. I hope
Yeah.
that I'm going to be. You know, I'll be still in barbecue because I just can't let go of that. I just can't.
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
let go.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like being stuck on the end of an electrical wire when you're getting a shock. You know, and 110, and you're just like, and you just can't let go of it, right? Um,
yeah.
yeah, I mean that's what it is, and so no, I just I've had a lot of different influences over my life, and you know, there's been people throughout my life and that have really very wise, been exposed to some very wise people, some very smart people, um,
Hmm.
people with a lot of life experience, and you know, we've been able to make those connections where they've been able to share those experiences with me, and you know, I try to walk away from those relationships or maintain the relationships that bring value to my life and the people that I kind of surround myself with, and I try to learn from them, and some people, man, they've been through hell,
Yeah.
and they're still going, and they're still going, and they're never quitting, and they're not giving up, and they're still fighting. And so,
Yeah.
you know, if anything, I think all of this stuff is, you know, because Hellraiser was very painful, right? Like that was, you know, I when I put the key in the door the last time, you know, I let out a war cry in the shop. It was really painful, and
Yeah.
I almost give it all up. Um, it almost broke me.
Hmm.
It almost broke me. You know, like any human being, you know, I went down the road of, you know, drinking real, you know, I was drinking a lot. I couldn't sleep. So, you know,
Hmm.
I'm trying to shut my brain off with alcohol. And, you know, I was very fortunate I didn't do drugs, but, you know, I drank a lot.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I was kind of caught in this kind of self pity, you know, feeling sorry for myself. And like just
Yeah.
this really bad vibe, you know, about what had happened.
Yeah.
You know, and naturally you want to blame other people. You know, we always want to deflect responsibility from ourselves.
Hmm.
Um, and and at one point I'm like, man, I got to step up. I got to take ownership. I got to
Yeah.
own what part is mine, and I got to let go of the part that I had no control over,
Yeah.
and just focus on what I love. And you know, if people want to laugh at me or people want to ridicule me, I mean, I get a lot of hate. I mean, I don't get a lot of hate, but I get enough of it. And you know, honestly, I don't give a shit. I don't care because I don't do what I do for people that hate me. I do it for the people that enjoy what we do, that support what we do, and
Yeah.
people that want, I guess that come to us, that they see value in what we do and they want to have a part of that value. Um,
Yeah.
so that's it, man. That's where I'm at.
Yeah. So with the classes, it's an interesting question I had pop ups on the screen there. Would you consider doing a class in Muscal? I can't pronounce that. It's somewhere in Ontario, uh,
Muskoka.
Mus- Muskoka.
Yeah.
Would you consider doing one in Muskoka? Which I mean, which leads me to kind of a follow up is, would you do mobile classes?
Oh, I do class. I think I've posted that the other day. You know, for dealers, for retail dealers, I
Hmm.
would do courses anywhere in the world. You want to fly me in, and I help you. You know, I'll do everything I can to organize it for you. We've got a pretty good following.
Yeah.
Anybody that wants to have me, and I'll fly over. I'll fly anywhere. You know, I'll do whatever I need to do just to, you know, we got, like I say, I've been very fortunate. We've got a following pretty much across the world. Muskoka,
Hmm.
I love Muskoka. I lived there for a while. I was part of a dealer, a Bombardier BRP Can-Am dealership in Muskoka, and so yeah, you know, I was in Bracebridge. I lived in Bracebridge for a while, so yeah, I would definitely consider coming to Muskoka. I've got some great friends there, and again, I would go anywhere. They want me to come over to Australia because I know we got a huge following in Australia. I'll fly down to Australia. You want me to come over to the UK? I'll come over to the UK. You want me to come down to Georgia? I'll come down to Georgia. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, I'll go anywhere where there's people that want to enjoy what we do and want to be part of it.
Yeah.
And if that takes me to
Yeah.
Dubai or takes me out to the middle of the desert and I don't know, wherever, down in New
Yeah.
Mexico, I don't know, who knows, but yeah, I'll go.
Yeah. So you're down for a barbecue, regardless of the
I'm
location.
down for a barbecue, man. That's what I do.
So
Yep.
let's have a barbecue wherever. It doesn't matter to me at all.
No. I mean, there's places, some places. I mean, yeah, I probably would. I'm probably crazy enough. I would do a barbecue probably right in the middle of a battlefield in Ukraine. If
Yeah.
I thought it could bring value to people's lives in a conflict zone, I'd do it. I mean,
Yeah.
we have no control anyway, so I'm either going to survive it or I'm going to die. I mean, there's no,
Yeah.
you know, I'd do it.
Yeah.
I'd go to a conflict area and do a barbecue course there. You know, if it brings happiness, joy, and brings something to people there, let's do it.
Yeah. So yeah, the community is you can put whatever suit or shell or cape on it and call it a Hellraiser, call it a Legion, call it whatever you want to call it. But your community is um, it wears different hats, but it's all a barbecue flavored hat. Um, with building the community that you're building, um, I mean, you could. I'm trying to think which direction I'm thinking. Where does Hellraiser go? Because you've got the catering stuff, you've got the classes. Have you considered, because you like the community and you're building these big communities? What of you mentioned Australia? They've got meat stock that they're doing. They do meat stock there. They do meat stock, I think, in Brazil, and there's one or two other places that do it. What about creating a barbecue community like that, like doing an event with the community portion of it?
Um, yeah, I never really considered it. I never really considered because I know that generally events are tough. I mean,
Hmm.
not that I'm afraid of anything that's difficult because I mean, just look at my track record.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, I was like, he can be scared if he wants to, but he's going to start doing this. next week.
Yeah. I probably could get involved in something like that.
Mhm.
You know, I know that events. I know a lot of people that have organized events and they've lost their
Mhm.
shirt.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. Large events are. I think that I would be interested in doing things like that, but I would definitely need a good, solid team around me. Um,
yeah. Well, obviously, that's not a one man show
no, not at all.
per
Not
chance,
at
but
all.
you would. I see you as the promoter in something like that because of the community and the I don't know if what you would call like the strength of the community, like I don't the pull that they have towards what it is that you're doing. I'm not sure what term that is, but yeah, I've got a friend here in north of Atlanta that does events. Gary Lamb, Gary, if you're watching, hey buddy, um, he creates events and it's the same kind of concept. I see it kind of the same way. Like he does a barbecue and brews, he does a this event, he does a that event, and that's all he does is the events. But he has such a way with the community that he builds, and his I think he calls it his tribe of people that is around him that he's created these massive, huge events with, and people are either giant fans of Gary or they can't stand Gary. Now, if they can't stand Gary and never met Gary, they would like Gary. Gary's a good dude.
Yeah.
Um, but I see you as a Canadian promoter for barbecue, and this is the consequence of watching this live. We may not even keep this portion in there, but I'm just being real, just chatting with you.
Sure.
Um, I mean,
Yeah, I
have
mean,
you
I think
considered that?
like in the case of Gary, it's like I had same kind of thing, right? Like I have had people say, well, Legion's going to go bankrupt, and they don't even. I mean, Hammerforge didn't go bankrupt. Hammerforge, when I left Hammerforge, we were full of orders. Like there's people out there that just talk shit. I think
Yeah.
those people. I think generally, I think people. There's a lot of sad people out there. I think a lot of people are suffering. I think a lot of people have got a difficult time in their lives, and that kind of toxicness will spew
Hmm.
out. And anytime they get an opportunity to kind of spew that out, it comes out. I think So in the defense of Gary, I guess same as me. You either like me or you don't. Um, Personally, I don't really care if people don't like me. That's I probably like similar to Gary. Um, yeah, I mean, as far as the events go, I'm I'd love to do that. I'm not. I guess I don't know. I look at some of these folks out there, and they've got content creators and they've got all this stuff, um, you know, I- and people always tell me you need a YouTube channel and this stuff. And I mean, I don't know. I just I would love to be able to reach more people.
Hmm.
I really would love to do because it comes kind of back to my core values of wanting to bring people together. And not that I don't know that I really know how to do that.
Hmm.
I'm relatively decent with Facebook and stuff like that, but I'm not. I don't know. I'm just not that kind of glitzy kind of creator, content creator
Yeah.
guy. Um, you know, I but as far as the events go, yeah, I'd certainly be interested in organizing events. But again, I kind of relate this back to Hellraiser. When we were going through hard times, um, I'm pretty good at building teams. And I
Hmm.
had employees that actually worked for free. Like if you can imagine that in 2023, I had team members on our staff that knew we were going through hard times, and they were like, "I will work for free." Like that's
Hmm.
the type of of commitment, of love, of just like that doesn't happen. Um, you
Yeah.
know, so I mean, I recognize that there's something special,
Hmm.
and I'd like to share that on a more massive scale. I don't know that I have the actual know-how to do that because it's always been
Hmm.
organic, right?
Yeah.
It's always been organic, and organic growth is long. It takes a long time to do. And I don't have that as a specific goal in mind. Like I don't post stuff
Hmm.
to get thousands of likes. I do it because what I do is for real. It's not, it's not staged. So
Hmm.
I'd love to expose it to, a wider audience. I don't know that I have the knowledge how to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm open to organizing events. What I'd like to see is like an internet, and I don't think, beyond. I think Meat Stock is doing it a little bit. I don't
Hmm.
know that you know I don't know that there's a truly international festival that's kind of like
Hmm.
in six or seven, eight, nine, 10 different countries. Like I think that's something that would be pretty cool. Um,
Yeah.
but again, I think it would come back to you need some strong partners, some strong team members, some
Hmm.
people with a lot of commitment and a lot of know how to pull something like that off.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Like I said, it was just off the rip, just the conversation that we were having. I was like, I'm kind of going in this direction. It may not necessarily be barbecue. This may be my least liked episode because there's not a whole lot of smoke, not a whole lot of barbecue sauce. But I mean, it's real.
Yeah,
I
I know.
mean,
I mean,
what are you gonna do?
it's again, like I say, I'm right now. I mean, I'm as I guess we'd say, I'm open for business. So I mean, I'm open
Hmm.
to new partnerships. I mean, somebody showed up with an amazing job offer, I'd be able to look at that. I mean, I'm open up to just pretty much anything. It's a unique position, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not dealing with the pressures of the business and I this time around I've taken some pretty serious lumps. I'm it's taught me a little bit more humility
Hmm.
and I don't know I don't life is short, man, and I don't want to waste any more time with shit that or people that just won't work, right? And
Hmm.
sadly enough, that's probably what happened with Legion. It just very quick realized that we didn't share the same values,
Yeah.
um, and I can't core values, who you are as a person, what you value in
Hmm.
life. You can't reconcile that with somebody that does not share similarities. There's crossovers, there's things that you might not value, but
Hmm.
in 60 or 70 or 80% of that person, they value the same things that you do. And
Yeah.
when you start to fall under 60%, you can't reconcile things with people that don't are completely pole opposite to what you value. So
Yeah. For sure.
um, I'm looking to connect with people that share the same values as I do. um, I think as far as monetizing the barbecue industry, I think that I've always I come from dirt poor, man. I lived in the ghetto. I mean, that's where I grew up. That's where I'm from. That's who I guess I am as a person. Not to say that I'm ghetto, but I mean, I grew up in the ghetto. Um,
Yeah.
that's who I am, and I believe that that money's kind of a consequence of doing the right things, having the right values, and providing the right things to people at the right cost. So
Oh yeah.
whatever opportunities are out there for that, I'm all in.
Yeah. Absolutely. Um, so where do we go with here from here is kind of what we've just been talking about. Um, the sky's the limit. There's no cap on what you want to do for barbecue, right?
Yeah, no, I
Um,
guess I'm kind of like a free agent now. Um,
yeah.
you know, I just whatever if it's catering, if it's I really one thing that I really do enjoy, and I think that if you look at a lot of these industries, and you're in the automobile industry, and I worked in a lot of different dealerships as in different roles as a sales manager, as VP, as director. I've done all kinds of different roles.
Hmm.
I worked a long time in the recreational product industry, and so I think there's a lot of in the retail business. There's a lot of coaching. There's a lot of different programs. In the
Hmm.
recreational product thing, they've got the Spader Group. There's all kinds of different consultant groups out there helping some of these retail dealers be successful, right, and properly manage their businesses. And I think
Yeah.
that the barbecue industry has always been kind of one of those industries that's been not it's kind of like for most people it's just insignificant,
Hmm.
and retailers, man, are certainly right now are facing challenges that I think that are pretty serious.
Yeah.
And I love working with retailers. It's something that I've always loved to do, and I'd love to help coach retailers, barbecue retailers, on maybe how to help them, run maybe a bit more lean, a bit more efficient,
Hmm.
help them transform, the way that they greet customers, place
Hmm.
product placement, like that stuff. I'm another thing I'm pretty passionate about. I guess is
Yeah.
helping barbecue retailers um, build their tribe and to
Hmm.
be able to be successful at what they do, because the barbecue industry, man, the retailers over the last 10 years, I've learned that it's a tough game, man. It's tough.
Yeah. For sure.
It's
For
a
sure.
tough industry.
Somebody from the UK says, "Great to see Shawn sharing knowledge and passion with teaching barbecue." And I thought the same thing whenever I saw the classes. I was like, the classes is where you get to see Shawn shine. I think like a grill company, Shell, you can see that, but I think what the value is that you bring is in how you approach things. So like the product, it's a great product, but like just the authenticity, I think is what I like about Shawn Bevins.
They're in my kitchen. They're using my bathroom. Um,
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
you know, I don't know. Some people say my door is always open, and it's not really kind of completely true. My door is always open. Um, I
Yeah.
like I like that proximity, man. I like being part of. And with Hellraiser, we grew so fast, and it was so chaotic. And when you're growing and you're adding employees, and it's just like you're signing True Value, and you're trying to manage the day-to-day operations and the purchasing and the marketing, all this stuff you got going on. Um, I kind of lost that a little bit, I guess. Not totally, because I kept very close to customers online, but I kind of lost that. I kind of lost that proximity with the community, and
Hmm.
and and I don't know of any other way. And whether it's the guys over in the UK, Marcus is a really renowned chef, barbecue guy over in the UK that started a great barbecue school, and courses are always full. Um,
Yeah.
I think that whether it's in the UK, whether it's in Australia, whether it's in Dubai, whether it's in Atlanta, Georgia, or Louisiana, or wherever you go in the world, um, you know, if we if we shut the language down and nobody spoke, and we just
Hmm.
took a snapshot of people over live fire, but nobody spoke, so we wouldn't know what language they're speaking, but we took a snapshot of just gathering cooking meat over flame and smoke, and
Yeah.
we took a snapshot of that. You would find, and this is the amazing thing about barbecue, is that it transcends cultural lines, it transcends language, it transcends, and wherever you take that snapshot across the world, what you would see is people gathering, people coming together, people sharing a meal, smoke, flame, and it's been that way since we lived in caves.
Hmm.
It's
For sure.
it's been that way since we started to begin to walk upright. That's what it is, and so that's lasted hundreds of thousands of years,
Yeah.
and that's, I think, truly what makes barbecue unique, is really
Yeah.
that um it's that snapshot of the
Hmm.
world. I don't remember what famous chef said it. I think it was Anthony
Bourdain.
Bourdain said, we could, what was it, world peace by
Yeah, it's
barbecue or
something
something.
regards. So my listeners are probably losing their mind. We can't remember it, but I think it's barbecue's not the answer to world peace, but it's a start. I think
Yeah,
it. I think
something like
if I'm
that. Yeah,
not mistaken.
and I think
And
and I think
roast
he
us
was
in the
absolutely right.
comments.
He was absolutely right, because if we took that snapshot anywhere in the world, on any side of any border where there's conflict, you're going to find that it's the same. It's the same coming together,
Yeah,
and that's really what I love about it so much.
yeah. Well, and you as the Facebook user there says that you understand community well, and barbecue should be about community. That's exactly what we've been talking about for the last, probably 20, 30 minutes now is the community itself that, that you build. You were talking about, going here, going there, and doing barbecue. I guess you could call it barbecue outreach. But right in the very, very, very beginning of COVID, I had just started with the car business, and I actually had a guy from, I don't remember the exact location, but somewhere out in I think North Africa, had reached out to me about, he was in the process of building a barbecue restaurant, and he wanted it to be an Americanized barbecue restaurant, and he had enlisted me to build a small little team to come out to Africa and, help him build his business. We The plan was, we'll stay for 3 weeks. We'll build a grill or a smoker. We'll design the menu and, go through some recipes and that sort of thing, and just kind of get him started. And I had built this small group of folks that had more clout than myself, but he had reached out to me just because he's been following me on the Backyard Smokers for so long, and wanted me to do that and build a little team. But we ultimately did not make the trip because of, the traveling restrictions and that sort of thing. Because I may still be in North Africa had I gone, I guess.
Yeah,
But
I've been to some of the most dangerous neighborhoods in Detroit, um, and I've been there completely safe, and it was always over barbecue.
hmm
Um, you know, I so you know, yeah, I've been to barbecues where you can hear gunshots, you know,
hmm
but you're completely safe because
yeah,
you're in that community. Like it's really special, man. I don't think there's anything else. I don't think there's anything else that exists. Um, you you fish, you hunt, you shoot, whatever passion that you've got. Um,
hmm
but I don't know of any other thing. If you're in, I don't know, if you're hunting dogs or you're doing dog competitions, it's like you and your dog. You know,
hmm
if you're a marksman, it's you, your firearm, your load, your target. You're hunting, it's
hmm
you and the game that you're pursuing. If you're fishing, it's you, the fishing rod, and the fish. It's like there really isn't anything out there like barbecue in the sense that it's not just a one man kind of effort. It's a really is a community thing.
hmm
And so that's kind of what makes barbecue unique. And so I'm not surprised that people out in the world, in places where um, maybe more of a traditional North American style barbecue, that they would want to bring you in from into North Africa. I'm not surprised by that at all, because
yeah,
one thing that the one of the things, I think one of the greatest exports of the Southern United States, where you're sitting right now, and where a lot of your listeners are from, I think probably one of the South's greatest exports was Southern style smoked barbecue.
hmm
I think that, I guess there's people out there that want to debate the roots of it. I have my opinion. You probably have yours. But I think that barbecue, despite whatever your belief is, or wherever you think the roots of it lay, um, one thing that I think we can all agree upon was that real barbecue came from poverty.
hmm
It came from cuts of meat that nobody wanted.
yeah,
It came from people that, out of their love for their families, out of the love for their communities, out of the love for their friends, figured out ways to deal with cuts of meat that weren't palatable, that probably would
hmm
have ended up on a pile somewhere, just rotting out in the sun. Um, and I think it was that love of their families, of their community, that kind of made them be innovative to find ways to be able to deal with these pieces of meat. And
yeah,
and through that, the poverty, the suffering, people being hungry, that just, man, it did something. And the South has very rich, sometimes very tragic and sad history.
Mhm.
But I think one thing that we can all agree upon is that that out of that, I guess out of that, and if you look into some of the darker regions of it, I mean, the darker areas of the history of smoked barbecue, you know, that suffering brought something amazing to the world.
Yeah. Well, and what we spoke about earlier, um, you're in the poverty, and they fought through it. Fighting solved everything. Fighting created the barbecue.
Yeah.
It's really funny to think about the origins of barbecue. It was a less than desired cut of meat, we'll call it. And now you go to these competitions, and guys are cooking, $150 briskets, and like, you know, that brisket was not the same brisket, but the evolution and the change over the course of the years, it's interesting to me, to look at it from that standpoint.
Yeah, and I think that one of the great one another one of the great things about barbecue is that I've told my story on here before that I knew a fellow that he was in the Vietnam War, worked in the automobile industry. He got hurt, um, and he would come onto Belle Isle. He'd made like an offset smoker out of a couple of 45-gallon drums, and he trailer that in on his bicycle
Hmm.
onto Belle Isle, and he would pick up driftwood off the beach to cook with, and he'd cook for people, and he'd exchange the cooking portion of it for drinks or for beer or for food or whatever, and that's kind of where I really got hooked on it. Um,
Yeah.
but I mean, if you look way back in time, it's like you say, the pieces of meat that were used. My favorite cut of meat, one of my favorite things to barbecue is pig's feet.
Yeah.
I can't get enough of them. I love them, and
Yeah.
as not so far off, 50 years ago, or the only people that ate pig's feet were people that couldn't afford pretty much to feed themselves. Um,
Yeah. Well, the term "high on the hog," they couldn't
it's
afford to eat
exactly on the hog,
higher
right?
on the hog.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. So it's like and they developed ways of making these really undesirable cuts of meat into something amazing, and
hmm,
through that process, they, because of that poverty, because of that suffering, it brought people together. I think
yeah.
growing up poor where I grew up, um, I don't know of a more generous people, and anybody that's out there that can identify with growing up poor, they'll be able to identify with this. Um, I've never known in my life people that are more generous than somebody that doesn't have anything to give.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
I
Um,
see it all the time.
yeah. People that are poor, man, it was a normal thing when I grew up that people would just knock on your door and borrow stuff
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it was the only way that we could collectively survive what we were all going through. Can I
Oh,
borrow
yeah.
a cup of milk? Can I borrow half a cup of flour? Like that's what I grew up in. And
Yeah.
and,
For
and I,
sure.
I people never said no, and people were always willing to give what they didn't have.
Yeah.
And I think our roots, barbecue roots in poverty, really made something very, very unique,
Hmm.
a
For
very
sure.
unique community. And yeah, I mean, I can't really summarize it up any other way, you know.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
You go into some
Um,
of these poor neighborhoods in America or in Canada, and you're hungry, man, they'll feed you.
yeah.
They may struggle to feed themselves, but if they got enough to feed you, they're going to feed you, you know.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's what it is, man. That's what this is all about.
Yeah. That's the barbecue community, and that's, its roots. That's the reason, the roots behave the same way as the barbecue does. Um, we've been chatting for about an hour, and I anticipated probably about 35, 40 minutes. And then as always, let the conversation go wherever it goes. Um, and we've ventured off in the heart attacks, and building community and going to Africa and a little bit of everything. We'll wind it down and we'll table this episode, I guess, uh, as it will. Any 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 thoughts on going out of barbecue?
No, no.
No.
Oh no,
Okay.
no, 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 no. I can't. I can't. I wouldn't. It wouldn't even. It's not even. No. I got it through me. It's through me, and I can't. I can't. I guess, and we'll leave it at this. I look back at the time of my life when I was growing up, and I got exposed to barbecue in the community, and I got to
Hmm.
say that in retrospect, I was fortunate enough to have meals sometimes because of the barbecue community when I wouldn't have had one.
Hmm.
There's something, a force inside me that has to pay that forward somehow.
Yeah.
There's something in me that I have to pay that forward. And only people that, have suffered probably recognize that drive to do that.
Hmm.
Um, and so yeah, no, that's not even on the, I mean, I somehow, somewhere, something, um,
Yeah.
the universe will, or God, or whatever you believe in, it's going to help me find my way in the barbecue community. It's
Yeah.
going to help me find my way. I don't know what it is. I wish I
Yeah.
did, because I'm not somebody that generally likes the unknown. I like things when
Yeah.
they're organized and when they're, I know where I'm going. I don't really
Yeah.
know where I'm going at this point, but that's okay, because I
Yeah.
know that somewhere, somehow, it's going to be in the barbecue industry, and I'm just going to keep going forward.
Yeah. For sure. Man, as always, it's great to sit down and chat with you. I feel like we got a little bit more real this episode than we have in the past. But the whole point of this podcast is it should come to my listeners as they're listening to a bunch of barbecue buddies just chatting about barbecue and whatever, wherever the conversation goes, that's where it went. This is where we went this week, guys. We appreciate everybody's listening live. This will be available on Wednesday at 5:30 a.m. through all the streaming platforms: YouTube, um, Spotify, Apple, Google, etc. Guys, if you've enjoyed this week's episode, we would appreciate a review, a like, a share, and as always, keep smoking. That is it for this episode, everybody. If you guys want to stick around, I'm fixing to throw a curveball at Shawn. Um, Shoot from the hip for me, man, if you don't mind, Shawn. Can you hear me still?
I sure can. Yep.
Okay. So I am collecting my recipes for my Christmas episode. A, a holiday recipe that you consider that you're not having Christmas or Thanksgiving without this side. And
Well,
what is it?
I'm in Quebec, so with something that's really traditional is what they call a tortillard. It's basically just a
Hmm.
meat pie. I mean, that's just a staple here. It's but I think that something that I really, again, I come back to, you know some people call them hog knuckles, pig's feet,
Hmm.
whatever you want to call them. For sure, for sure, for sure. I'll be making something, stew ragu out of smoked pig's feet. Something.
Hmm.
It's going to include pigs. My Christmas always has pig's feet.
Okay. So give me a just a quick overview recipe of how you cook your Canadian pig's feet.
I marinate them first. Worcestershire sauce, brown sugar, apple cider vinegar, water, and I put a little bit of we call it I don't know if you guys have that down there. Bovril beef stock, real kind of
Hmm.
thick, like the
Yeah.
old OXO liquid stuff that they sell. It's like really dark. I mix
Hmm.
all that in water. I marinate. I let the pig's feet soak. Try to let them soak for up to a day, 24 hours. Take them out. I smoke them to about I don't know, 170, and then I
Hmm.
wrap them up in tin foil and I smoke them till they fall apart.
Okay.
And then
And
I
how do
take
you
them out.
serve that?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. How do you serve that?
Well, I generally try to take the meat and incorporate it into something. Sometimes we'll just eat it like a pulled pork. But
Hmm.
a lot of times I like to take it and then incorporate that into like a stew with potatoes and carrots
Hmm.
and some other stuff. The meat obviously being rendered, all the fat being rendered out and barbecued, it's got that real nice smoky flavor. So it makes a stew that's like really kind of smoky and unique.
Hmm.
Yeah, it all depends. It all kind of goes off of what I feel.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can cook it into a pie, you can cook it into a stew, you can eat
Yeah.
it just like that. You can make a pulled pork sandwich out of it. So yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm going to turn it into, but something's going to include pig's feet
Yeah. So you're gonna cook some pig's feet for the holidays.
for sure.
Awesome, guys. Um, I appreciate it, man. We will drop the all of our people watching us, and let them go back to their lives. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll catch y'all next time.